What's up, nerds? Good morning and welcome. Hello, it is Monday, broadcasting live from Site B with my brand new starting theme song. Thank you very much, Aaron Cornelius. For those of you who don't know, it's Monday. It's 8:30 in the morning. It's the 18th day of March. It is bright and sunny and warm, and it is I, your terrorizing Grumpy McGrump, the OGGM, coming to you mostly live with the tabletop role-playing game, freebies, sales, and of course, I'm not an AI bundles. Potato. All right, as always, these are PDFs. They are not physical products, so do not get upset if you don't actually get the figure when you download the file. Okay. Because these are PDF and digital thingamajigs, please, before you open and install anything, check them for viruses and malware and phishing and all those other things. Where do you think the people who keep calling you with those phony scams get your phone numbers from? Things like this. And finally, in regards to the charity, especially with like Stephen Owens, maybe just give directly to the charity and skip the middleman of 150 bundles of things you're probably never going to use. All right, that's it. Anything I recommend, links are in the description. Here we go. Let's dive right into the freebies. First off, over at Drive-Thru, Seattle Hill Games has released the Osric Player Guide, the core player rules for the OSR emulation of the first edition rules. Also, we've got the, our friend, the Basic Expert, did his white box hack, which is basically the same thing. Osric is the very first, possibly first, one of the very first OSR D20 retro clones that came out in the Wild West days of the OGL. So it's interesting that after all these years, Seattle Hills is once again re-releasing Osric to the general public for free, or you can get the hardcover for $20. Now, obviously, there is 1,000 some odd D20 OSR retro clones that have come out since then. They're as good or better, but this one was one of the first. Synominy, there's a name we haven't heard in a while. Synominy Publishers released version 1.0 of the system reference document for Worlds Without Numbers by the other Crawford, the one we like. Worlds Without Numbers is made by the same guy who did Stars Without Numbers and City Without Numbers, but this is his fantasy version. I kickstarted this when he re-released it. A lot of people will say who wrote the best guide on world building, Gygax, blah, 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 blah. Really, if you haven't seen this guy's stuff, I highly recommend it, and it's free. So, yeah, Worlds Without Numbers is as good or better than Stars Without Numbers, and it's probably better than any other, world building thing you're going to find right now. All right, in case you didn't know it, the open beta play test for Daggerheart is up, and the first round of survey for Daggerheart is up on the Daggerheart site, link down below. If you want to be the first to look at Daggerheart, go ahead. It's available. It's free. They're already taking the surveys. I'm sure the surveys read something like the 20% people who love Daggerheart because they have been told they have to, and they're Critical Role shills. The 5% people who have actually read the rules and found stuff that they liked and are putting that in the survey, and the the 20% who just hate it because of Critical Roles and are just going to post unbelievably negative comments whether they've actually read it or not, and then the 5% who actually read it, like me, and went, wow, this is just a disaster. The fear rules alone. And yeah, the initiative doesn't work. I don't care what anybody fucking says. The initiative system does not work. I've seen it. Speaking of OSR, G.A. Mitchell has released Journeyman Expert Master, his basic training OSR game that goes from level 1 through 4, then all the way to level 1 through 30 for full edition. So it's another D20 retro clone OSR OGL type thing, this one from G.A. Mitchell. Captain Scarlet Frost has released the Star Chart template, a worksheet to help you create custom night skies for your worlds, including constellations and stuff like that. Meanwhile, over at the Dungeon Masters Guild, or what's left of this, Doug Stain has released This Is the Title, a 5e adventure making fun of 5e adventures, where you go on a quest to recover the lost adventure that was supposed to be in the module before the quote-unquote evil forces destroyed it. I can't imagine what he's referencing in that. It certainly has nothing to do with the announcement from Wizards of the Coast made a week ago about the fate of DM's Guild, or a couple days ago about their plans for the future of the hobby. So I think it's very interesting that Doug Stain chose to release a make fun of 5e adventure where you have to go and find the real adventure because it was ruined by evil forces, quote unquote. Let's see. The Disney themed Domain of Dread is up, called San Francisco Tokyo, which was inspired by Big Hero 6. This comes from the same people who have been doing all the other weird Domains of Dread for Ravenloft and the Disney themed Domains of Dread. This one's inspired by Big Hero 6. I don't really see San Francisco Tokyo as a Domain of Dread. You know, I watched Big Hero 6. I watched some of the cartoons, the animated series, which is decent. The Noodle Burger song is great. It doesn't really feel like a Domain of Dread. And if it is a Domain of Dread, who's the Lord? Betamax? All right, Might Adventures has released more optional rules for 5e. This one called Mark Leveling. Is that the guy's name? Is that what he's called it? Or is he saying it's called Mark Leveling because instead of milestones, he's using marks to say this is when you level? Or is it because he thinks you're a mark for buying it? You take your choice. It's an alternative take on one of the many alternative takes on 5e leveling, because I guess there's just not enough. You could level by experience. You could level by milestones. You could level whenever I feel like it. You could level because if I don't give you a level, you're going to call me a horrible, awful person online. Now we have a new one, at least until it's taken down. Lightning Round DM's Guild. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wonderful new maps, including one called Goodberry Bush, because we really need a map of a bush. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 brand new subclasses and backgrounds for 5e, even though they're not technically really legal anymore. They are still technically legal, at least until the new 5e Player's Handbook comes out. So again, remember, these are all canon 5e official, though not for much longer. Over at the sales, there is the D&D Beyond sale over at who's doing this? Dungeon Masters Guild is doing a D&D Beyond VTT sale. Number of titles like Curse of Strahd, Wild Beyond the Witchlight have been marked down 40%. This sales continues to the 24th of March. So these are all the VTT conversions of older modules. Really? Why? I can't imagine why it'd be over older modules. I'm certainly has nothing to do with the announcements that have come out over the last month regarding the fate of Dungeon Masters Guild and the fate of older product. No, I'm sure they're just trying to, make room for new stuff. Itch.io has a spring sale going on of about 750 products. Anything marked with our role-playing game tag has been discounted 65%. This ends on March 21st. If you're looking for tokens for your VTT, we've got Monster Tokens 2 from Dungeons Lab. DOUNGEONISMLAB. Dungeons Lab. Malab. Not my lad. Malab. That could be my new favorite word for the day. You know what you are? You're a Malab. Don't call me that. Anyways, it's tokens. And if you want more tokens, this one from blah, 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 blah. This one from no name. It's forest maps for $5. So forest map, bundle of maps and tokens. Here's a tree. And now the charities. As always, if I mention a charity, maybe just give the money directly to the charity and skip the middleman, especially for these first two ones. We are still got two bundles up for our good friend Owen K. Steffens, who is still dealing with the ridiculous costs of having cancer and having medical issues in the United States in the 2000s and 24s because, insurance. Bundle number 1 contains a whole bunch of product that he's either worked on or has been dedicated to him, and everything you donate goes directly to the medical expenses. Bundle number 2 is $30 and currently contains, I think, like 75 things, 75 books, full games, adventures, stuff like that. Over $1,000 value for $30. Again, everything goes to support Steven's medical bills. Britannia Games has their Chivalry and Rising Sun bundle. This contains Chivalry and Sorcery, their art fantasy RPG, and it contains Rising Suns, their Asian themed RPG, which I'm sure they've been accused of being racially appropriation and whatever. And this goes to support charities. It's $15 and it ends March 18th. Crucible 7 has got a Warhammer fantasy roleplay bundle just in time for Warhammer the Old World. Should we ever start seeing stuff for Warhammer the Old World? At least they're finally getting onto the whole, hey, this year's all going to be about fantasy, with a Warhammer fantasy play starter set and tons of Warhammer fantasy stuff. This again goes to support children's hospitals, and it's $25. Goodman is still running their Dungeon Crawl Classic, Mutant Crawl Classic Mega Bundle. This is $25 or $40. This again goes to children charities, and it contains a ton of stuff for Dungeon Crawl Classic and Mutant Crawl Classic. As you know, Dungeon Crawl Classic, my personal favorite D20 retro clone OGL knockoff. And in favor of the #1 movie in the world right now, Modifius is still running their Dune Adventures in the Imperium bundle. $18 is the most popular pledge. That gives you everything that they've made for the 2D20 Dune sending so far. No, it doesn't. They don't send you any sand or the bizarre popcorn thing. Who thought the Dune popcorn thing, Nightmare Fuel, was a good idea? Yeah, that's what the fuck? Yeah, no, what were you thinking? Anyways, this goes to support something called Charity Water User, which I think means it goes to watershed charities and charities that are trying to maintain the watershed / estuaries where all the birds thing. And this ends March 21st. So obviously the #1 thing that I would recommend is the one for Steven. Everything else, I've posted links down below. Some of them are cool. A couple of them are dumb. Daggerheart's up. It's free. Make up your own mind. I'm not going to influence you. I really think Daggerheart is never going to get a fair shake. It's never going to be able to be approached just non-committally. You'd have to find some person on the planet who knows about tabletop role-playing games but has never heard of Critical Role or all the controversy associated with it for Daggerheart to get a truly fair, non-biased playtest. Is that possible? I don't think so. So I don't think Daggerheart will ever get a fair shake. It'll either receive 100% unbelievably positive reviews, whether the people have actually read it or not, simply because it's Critical Role, or it will receive 100% nothing but negative, hostile, and often disgustingly toxic reviews because there's so many people that just hate Critical Role and anything to do with it. And they don't, I didn't read it, but it's Critical Role, so I motherfucking hate it kind of shit. I didn't read it, but it's Critical Role, so I motherfucking love it kind of shit. Yeah, they can't win. Kind of at this point in time think they should have released it, but their backs were against the wall. So we'll see in 2025 where Critical Role still stands, but you can pick it up now. Links down below. Donate to Steven's charity, because as somebody who has relatives who have dealt with cancer, there are still bills that are being paid off for people that died years ago. So yeah, it sucks. That's it for today. Have a great day. I'll talk to you later. Get off my land.